morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, out of Voice of Radio. So today, it's time to update our list of the top 10 Pokemon V. It's been a little while since we did. It's about time. Though I should mention, we're talking Pokemon V here. We are not talking Pokemon V Max. So, something like Eternatus V Max, phenomenal card. Eternatus V is fine. But nobody plays Eternatus V without Eternatus V Max, so it's never going to make its way onto the list. The Pokemon V on this list can have V Maxes, but they need to make their way onto the list by virtue of the Pokemon V, not the Pokemon V Max. So, starting off then, let's take a little bit of a look at number 10, Dubwool V. And Dubwool V remains one of the more techable Pokemon Vs. The ability, Soft Wall, says you take 30 less damage from attacks, gives you a nice bit of survivability. It's not all that in a bag of potato chips, but for free colourless energy, meaning you can fit into any deck you like, you do 120 damage base, plus 30 more for each prize card your opponent has taken. So they've taken 5 prizes, you do 270 damage, hopefully you combine it with a reset stamp, take a KO on their only setup attacker, and sweep for the game. When it works, and it will work in any deck you like. In at number 9, we've got Boltund V. Now, Boltund V, very nice card. It's got the attack Electrify for a single Lightning Energy. Search for 2 Lightning Energy cards from your deck and attach them to your bench Pokemon in any way you like. It's nice for getting energy on the field. You see it played in Pikachu and Zekrom, so you can build up to those big attacks faster. But really, we're playing Boltund V for the attack Bolt Storm. 2 energy, 1 lightning, 1 colourless, although it's going to blatantly be 2 lightning. And you do 10 damage, plus 30 more for each lightning energy attached to all of your Pokemon. And Pikachu and Zekrom will accelerate lightning energy. And Tapu Koko Prism Star will accelerate lightning energy from your discard pile. We've got stuff like the new Electrode, which will accelerate some energy from your deck, though you do have to give up a prize to do that, so be a little bit careful. And if you get enough energy on the field, this one hit KOs everything, and you're having a pretty gosh darned good time indeed. In at number 8, we've actually got a very new Pokemon that has not been out very long at all. It is Aegislash, which has just come out in Vivid Voltage. Now, this is interesting because I believe it is the only one on the list at the moment, cheating a little bit saying that has a Pokemon V Max. But we don't really care about the V Max. The V Max is kind of irrelevant. We like the Pokemon V. You see, Aegislash has the attack Sonic Edge. For free energy, you do 130 damage, but it is not affected by any effects on your opponent's active Pokemon. So, something like an Obstagoon that would be blocking basic Pokemon? Nope. Something like a Decidueye that would be blocking GXs and Vs? Nope. And the fact of the matter is that a lot of decks like Zacian play basic Vs and GXs. So they can be shut down by those kinds of Pokemon. Well, good news, ladies and gentlemen. Shut down no more will they be. They don't need to be shut down. Being shut down really is not an issue. Well, isn't that rather lovely now? It is going to make all of these decks that can use it so much better. And given that you can use Metal Saucer, and given that you can use Turbo Patch, and you can use Zacian's ability and then Energy Switch onto it, it is not going to be terribly difficult to get the energy on there when you need it. In at number 7, we've got Eldegoss, and I think this is the part of the list where we are getting into proper job. All of them are top tier Pokemon. You see, Eldegoss has the rather lovely ability which lets you grab a supporter card from your discard pile and put it into your hand. It is awesome. Now, it ain't like Tapu Lele was. Tapu Lele searched it from your deck. Tapu Lele was a phenomenal turn 1 option. This is not. This is not a play several of them and then get it out nice and early and roll Pokemon. This is a play one of them because in the late game it's going to be huge. Playing it in a fire deck to get that welder when you desperately need it. Of course, a lot of the time this is just going to be, you're going to get boss's orders, We all get down to that point of the game where, hey, if I draw boss's orders, I win. Well, Eldegoss is if I draw boss's orders, or an Eldegoss, or a quick ball, etc., then I win. Eldegoss is awesome. In at number 6, we've got VIKAVOLT V. Now, VIKAVOLT V has not quite taken over the format in the way that myself and a lot of other people expected it to. Maybe it's the fact that Lightning really did lose too much to the rotation. Maybe we just have better answers to it. I'm not entirely sure. But I do know that even though it's not quite taken over the format like we expected, it's still a great card. Now, the free energy 190 discard 2 energy is fine, but nothing special. But the 2 energy 50 damage item lock absolutely is. You do 50 damage, and for the rest of the game, your opponent cannot play item cards. Well, for the next turn they can't, but in theory you use Paralyzing Bolt every turn, and then you'll lock them for the game. Now, we've got Tapu Koko to get a turn 1 going second. Obviously, if you go first, you shouldn't be worrying at all. But we got Tapu Koko there, so if you go second, you can Tapu Koko, attach an energy, boom, off you go. We did lose Thunder Mountain to the rotation, and we have lost Electro Power, which did do a bunch of extra damage. But the fact of the matter is, against a whole bunch of decks, not Excadrill, but against a whole bunch of decks, if you can just get this going nice and quickly, which you should be able to, you can Paralyzing Bolt, and they just won't draw enough, and they will end up losing just because they didn't draw into anything, even though you're KOing them rather slowly. In at number 5, we've got Cramorant V, and right now we've taken another little jump. These are full-on proper job top-tier Pokemon Vs. Cramorant V has... it's got Beat Catch, 1 colourless energy, search for any 2 cards and put them into your hand. You don't really want to use Beat Catch. It's not really your goal here. But the fact of the matter is, there will be turns where you need to, and on those turns where you need to, yay! Life is good. Mostly here, we're using it for Spit Shot. 3 colourless energy, and you have to discard all energy from this Pokemon, but you then do 160 to one of your opponent's Pokemon. Obviously, this will KO a Dedenne on the bench, which is pretty awesome. And actually, I should mention, this is potentially going to get even higher on this list, because we've just got, in Vivid Voltage, we've just got Telescopic Sight, which means you'll do an extra 30 damage to bench GXs and Vs if you hit the bench. And that's kind of important, because it means you can now get a one-hit KO on, for instance, a Crobat V, which is pretty gosh darned important. No, that hasn't come up on the list yet. Yes, it is further up on the list. Obviously, it's nuts. It is worth mentioning that Cramorant actually is getting a VMAX. It's not a particularly good VMAX, but Cramorant is getting a VMAX. It's out in Japan. I pulled one from, well, I called it the best product ever. And I wasn't clickbait, it genuinely is a redonkulous product. I'll try and remember to pop a link to that one in the description. It's out, I have one, it's beautiful. The best thing about Cramorant is actually using a memory capsule to copy Cramorant's attack for a triple acceleration energy. Point is, it's a really good attack. Welded decks tend to play one of these as a matter of course now. Honestly, any decks with energy acceleration should be considering them, but this is a very good Pokemon V that ends up finding its way into a whole bunch of decks, and that, ladies and gentlemen, is a very nice thing indeed. In at number 4, we've got Zamazenta, and honestly, if you wanted to switch this around, I wouldn't be terribly upset with you, though I do think it's a pretty good number 4, honestly. What it does, it's mostly here for the ability, and the ability says that it cannot be damaged by Pokemon VMAXs, which is pretty gosh darned awesome. But it's not just that. Only attack free energy, 130, discard a special energy is fine. But the example I like to use is Eternatus VMAX. Eternatus VMAX, great card, cannot attack Zamazenta, so you end up attacking with Eternatus. Now, Eternatus for 4 energy, and Eternatus decks generally don't play much energy acceleration other than Eternatus itself, Lets you attach an energy to a bench Pokemon when you use Power Accelerator. So getting the 4 energy on there is awkward. But Zamazenta sees a lot of play in builds with Lucario and Melmetal, which reduces damage by 30. And Metal Goggles, which reduces damage by 30. And all of a sudden, Eternatus isn't doing 120, it's doing 60. And that is just not going to trade well with Zamazenta. It's awesome. In at number 3, and this is going to surprise some people, and this is going to annoy some people, and hey, yell at me in the comment section, I'm cool with it, Zacian V. Now, if we're looking at pure attackers, Pokemon that we're playing just to attack, there is no question that Zacian V is number 1. And that's not in terms of Pokemon V, that is in terms of any Pokemon whatsoever. It is the best attacker in the game. But for reasons we're going to mention, I don't think it's the best Pokemon V. We'll get there in a moment. But it's still a phenomenal card. It's got the ability Intrepid Sword, which lets you draw 3 cards, and if any of them are Metal Energy, you can attach them to Zacian. And then we've got an attack for 3 energy that does 130 damage, but bearing in mind that you've got your ability, and you've got Metal Saucer, and you've got Turbo Patch, and frankly, ladies and gentlemen, this is not a particularly difficult attack to actually get rolling. And 230 for 3 energy, especially when you can pay that energy rather quickly, nice. It's great with Lucario and Melmetal as a bit of a tanky deck with Metal Goggles. It is the best deck in the format with Arceus and Alga and Palkia. So you do an extra 30 damage and take an extra prize of every attack. So now you're doing 260, and if you get a KO, you take an extra prize, which is dumb good. It is phenomenal. But in at number 2, I'm putting another new Pokemon that's just come out in Vivid Voltage. I'm putting Talonflame. And I know that this is, on my part, showing a huge amount of faith in Talonflame. I might look back on this in the months to come and feel frankly dumb. But the fact of the matter is, Zacian doesn't help every deck. Now, to be fair, there are decks like Blacephalon running around that would never attack with Zacian, because they don't literally play the energy they need to. But they will play Zacian just so they can use Intrepid Sword turn 1 if they go first to draw some cards, and it ends their turn, but it doesn't matter because they can't attack anyway. But Talonflame can help literally any deck. Free Retreat, awesome, and for 1 colourless energy, you've got an attack that you can use on turn 1 going first. Discard your hand, draw 6 cards. It's phenomenal! And it can be used turn 1 going first. It is a ridiculous consistency boost for any deck in the format. But then you've got 3 energy, 160 damage, discard an energy. Bearing in mind, Welder to attach 2, attach a 3rd from your hand, boom, you're off. And for what it's worth, this will get a straight 1-hit KO on a Zacian or Zamazenta. This is really good in Fire decks turn 1 going second, because Fire decks just don't have a great option turn 1 going second. The best option they've really got is Heatran that does 130, but clearly 160 is better than 130. But you've also got the ridiculous attack. So if you go first in any deck, 1 colourless energy, yay, I'm getting set up more easily. If you go second in a Fire deck, yay! Now I get to do a decent amount of damage nice and easily. It is a phenomenal turn 1 Pokemon, regardless of whether you went first or second. But that means by process of elimination, in at number 1, I've told you it's on the list and I haven't mentioned it yet, so it's got to be Crobat V. And I feel good putting Crobat V number 1. Because the fact of the matter is, as good as Crobat V is now, and my lordy is it a phenomenally good card, it is going to get even better when we hit September 2021 and Dedenne rotates out. Because make no mistake about it, Dedenne is all but guaranteed to rotate out in September. The only way it survives the rotation is if, for some reason, we decide not to rotate, or Pokemon decides not to rotate, because we've missed too much in terms of physical tournaments with the whole pandemic thing. Fair enough. But the fact of the matter is, Crobat is a phenomenal draw card. You play it from your hand to your bench, you draw 2, you got 6 cards in your hand. And if you play, say, an Eternatus deck, it's a decent attacker, 2 energy, 70 damage plus poison. It's fine if unspectacular. But we're playing this for the Dark Asset ability. and it already sees play in a ridiculous amount of decks, and we are going to hit a point, unless another card we haven't seen coming is coming out, we are going to hit a point in the not too distant future where you have to play Crobat because Dedenne is gone, and at that stage it's going to get even better. It is interesting to note that Crobat is also getting a VMAX in that lovely Shiny Star V set. It's not particularly good or relevant, it's fine but unspectacular. Honestly, the best thing about Crobat VMAX is that it gives you an extra 120 HP to make it less of a 2-prize liability. I mean, it then becomes a 3-prize liability, but at least it's less of a liability in terms of it's hard to be KO'd. Yay! So there we go, ladies and gentlemen. Those are your top 10 Pokemon Vs. One of them currently has a VMAX. 2 of them are getting VMAXs in the future. Well, one of them has in Japan. One of them is going to on Friday officially. And frankly, it's a pretty good list. Certainly better than the top 10 VMAX list, where some of them we were stretching. I think 7 upwards there is a clear line of delineation. And then again from 5 upwards. And I know that putting Zacian at number 3 is going to make some people think I've gone a bit silly. But the fact of the matter is, Crobat and Talonflame help more decks than Zacian. And that's what I've gone for. If anybody does their own list and puts Zacian at number 1, I think Zacian, Talonflame, and Crobat are the only possible number 1s. But if anyone were to put Zacian at number 1, I would in no way, shape, or form be particularly upset about this. So there we go, ladies and gentlemen. Tell me what you think about this list, and give me your own list in the comment section. Go nuts, be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWasi, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCGRadio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all that good stuff, head on over to patreon.com/PTCGRadio, where you can do exactly that. But by far the most important thing as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.